Hey guys, it is week 10 of Super Rugby AU. In this video, I'll cover the Rebels versus the Force. Just watch out, the game has a different kickoff time than listed in SkinnyBru and that type of schedules. It is different this week, but we're going to have a good Saturday. It is Super Saturday, or I don't really know what you guys call it, but it's Super Saturday. A lot of rugby we can expect this weekend. If you want to watch the other game, the Reds versus the Brumbies, that preview will be linked up here. Let's get into the standings. We can see the Rebels still have a chance of getting into the playoffs. They just basically need a win to get into it, or probably a bonus point as well. I tried to read up on what exactly the specifics are of getting into that position. Couldn't find anything for this competition, so I'd probably think they're going to count on bonus points, in which fact the Waratahs do have more bonus points, so the Rebels will probably need a bonus point win. Going into this match, it is being played in Newcastle, clear skies, 20 degrees Celsius, 21-kilometer wind, so it's quite windy. Angus Gardner being the referee, probably the best referee in Australia, so we have a good match coming up for us with good refereeing. The history between the two sides, it is definitely in the favour of the Rebels. Both teams have made a few changes to their sides, especially the Rebels. Starting at the back, where most of the changes have occurred, is Tuttle coming in at number 9, with Tamua also moving to number 10 from the centres. Will this combo disrupt their game a little bit? I thought Lamani and Deegan at number 9 and 10 did pretty well in the last couple of weeks. I think Deegan had a little bit of a mess up with a couple of kicks last week, but still, I thought they did well, so hopefully this doesn't disrupt the Rebels too much. John O'Lance and then Ian Pryor going up against those two. I thought they did better last week. They are still not living up to what you would expect them to do. But they did better last week, especially with when to pass, when to kick, when to run. Because I think in last week's preview I said the Force have a tendency just to pass it out wide as soon as possible, trying to run it from everywhere. And that's been costing them all season long. Last week they decision making was a bit better, and that kept them in the game for a while in the game, but then they lost the plot a little bit after all. In the centres, there's a new combo for the Rebels with Meeks in at number 12, Hodge shifting from fullback to number 13. I think Hodge did pretty well at number 15. I preferred him there as well, but you will remember this was the team's preferred combo in the start of the season, so probably better that they go back to it. They are up against a strong running Taefu at number 12 and Godwin at number 13, who's been the best player for the Force in the last 2 weeks. Godwin at number 13. He was at winger last week. I think I don't prefer him there. He was better at number 13 in previous weeks, so he'll be looking to get more hand on the ball in this week. Ralston is back at number 14 for the Force. They really missed his try-scoring ability last week against the Brumbies, and he is up against Coyote. We all know what Coyote can do for the Rebels. I think that's going to be a pretty big battle this weekend. Dane Haylett-Petty is back for the Rebels. That's a big inclusion for them because he is their captain. I don't think he was in the best form before he got injured, unfortunately, but hopefully now that he is back, he can bring something else to the side. They do need this win in this game. Going up to the changes in the pack, there are tried and tested front rows for both sides, with both of them giving and receiving some penalties so far this season, none of them really being on the upper hand. The always hard-working Thrush and Atkins in the second row for the Force will have their hands full with Phillip and Hosea for the Rebels, who's been improving in their line-out time, I think, for the Rebels. But both sides' lineouts can let them down at times. The Force, I just remember that a couple of weeks ago where they lost 4 in a row and basically lost the game at the end of the day. The Rebels, they bring in some grunt in their loose forwards with Hardwick coming in, joining Wells and Naisarani, who's probably their player of the season so far. He's scoring tries all the time, running with the ball, making meters, making tackles. He's just doing everything all over the park. They are up against guys that love taking on the line. Lee Warner, who's probably a little bit better at the lock. This last couple of weeks, I did notice that his work rate, especially in defense, did go down a little bit since moving to the flanker. Stander, he is back in the side at the flanker instead of number 8. He joins Stowers, who was brilliant last week. He was probably taken off a little bit early, and they lost Grunt in their pack when he was taken off. On the benches, there are a lot of changes. As I said last week, the Force probably had their best bench so far this season, and I was impressed with what they could get up, because the bench is a very important part of a team in these days. It's not just your second best players, it is part of the planning. For the Force this week, I do think that it's back to normal for them. The only player that really stands out there is Koteka, Frisbee, Juster, and Strachan, I don't know, number 23. Those three have really failed to impress me this season. It's only Koteka that I really see can stand out when he comes onto the park. The Rebels, they also don't have the strongest bench, but it is a little bit better in my opinion. Elof and Gibbon, both of them are brilliant scrummagers. Wilkin has been impressive in the loose forwards. Lumani and Deegan, I think they could have started easily in this game. It was quite a surprise for me that they were dropped in the end. In the end of the day, I think the Rebels are favourites to win this game, but they made a lot of changes and that could disrupt things a little bit. And if the Force do exploit that, they could actually sneak it in with a win. The Force are desperate to win a game in this season, it being their last game. Well, it could be the Rebels' last game as well. But I think the Rebels are more desperate to get this win, especially with a bonus point. If they do want to go into playoffs, it is in their hands. The ball is in their court. The Waratahs aren't playing this week, so they can get in there if they do get a bonus point win. So I think the Rebels by 4 points. Guys, let me know your prediction in the comments below. Check out any of these other videos if you want to, and then subscribe. See you for the next one. Cheers.